Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. I am Valeria, the Client Success Manager of Insurance at Wenalyze. Today, we're going to discuss how to build a successful partnership between startups and corporations. First, let's review our agenda. We are going to define what a partnership is. Why should startups and corporates work together? What are the main challenges and how to solve them? And a brief conclusion. What is a partnership? Nowadays, every corporation is facing changes and challenges to stay on top of the market and to keep the loyalty of their customers. This has taken them to look for different and innovative solutions outside of their own walls. And this is where startups come as great allies to take that need and to transform it into something that adds value to that corporation client. This B2B relationship could be a one time service or a long contract for a specific area or need of the client. Just to give you an example, different online shopping companies prefer to rely on a startup to deliver their products because it reduces shipping costs, but also because of the new technology this startup is implementing. Now, let's talk about the benefits that it has that both parties work together. Let's begin with the startup. Working with a corporation might lead to exponential sales and a stable client source. Besides that, once the relationship with the corporation is stronger, you can upsell and cross sell your products. And finally, a positive net promoter score will help you to get other clients because you will manage to get a great reputation to motivate other big companies to hire you as well. Now, let's talk about the benefits that are in for the corporate to work with a startup. Expert tailor Expert and tailored service. Being an expert in everything is impossible, and if it will be possible, it will be very expensive. Having a small company working for you in a specific area will ensure they adapt to your specific needs, something that another big company will not be able to manage that easily. This helps you to find the right solution. Another great benefit is fast and flexible procedures since the startups are able to provide faster solutions because they have less compliance procedures to follow. Innovative perspective. A newer company will offer you the opportunity to see the world with other eyes and to see what is new in the business. Sometimes corporates have been working following the same procedures for years, and they find it very hard to make the changes that will help them to adapt to new trends. And this is something that startups can do faster. And finally, inexpensive testing. For example, if you want to create a new product, you might need a whole new department to take care of this, hiring new employees, training them, learning by mistakes, and so on. It can be very exhausting, especially if that project does not result as you wanted. That is why having a startup hire working for this specific project will save you money and time. As you can see, there are a lot of advantages for startups and corporates to work together, but there are also challenges that if they are not solved in time, they might jeopardize the relationship, such as communication issues, not knowing what the other wants or means, unhappy outcome or unhappy result. This might be a consequence of the first one, since if you don't know what the client wants, hardly you will be able to provide a great solution. Multiple people to contact or to communicate with since there are different departments involved. A lot of those are questions while the project is running. Unreachable deadlines since the expectations were not set at the beginning. And a slower signing process than expected since the corporation might have a lot of processes and requirements to fulfill before signing. Now, let me give you some tips and advices that I have learned to solve or to fix these issues. First of all, take the time to understand the company. Either if you are the startup of or the corporate, it will be heavily beneficial if you have a meeting with the other company to understand what they do and how they do it. Never take for granted that you understand the pain of your client. It is very important to listen to their perspective of the issue and the way they work, so you can understand what solution will be the ideal for that specific project. As I said, never assume that your previous knowledge is enough to provide the best solution. Second, manage expectations and establish KPIs. As a startup, at the beginning of the relationship, make sure to introduce your company and clarify what tasks you are able to complete and what tasks are not part of your solution. Make sure to establish KPIs so you can measure if the project was successful or not. I recommend a maximum of 3 KPIs per project. And if this project added value to the corporation, you will be able to know. It could happen that the client was expecting a different result or value, and you need to make sure that since the beginning of the project, you are targeting the right objective. As I mentioned before, learn to say no to tasks that are not part of your solution. As startups, we want to provide all the best experience to our client, and sometimes we commit to things that we are not able to meet. And it's important that we let the client know since the beginning. Do not go for the big project at first. In addition to what I mentioned before, having a small project or a demonstration of what you can do can help you understand the needs of the client and to pivot whatever is needed without investing a lot of time and resources. Remember that in any other relationship, the communication at the beginning is fundamental. At the end, you are working with human beings and you are getting to know each other and the way they work. Something that has worked for us at Wenalyze is that we provide a demo, a free demonstration for the client with a small project, and we deliver the results 3 or 4 weeks before, so we can know how they work and they can know what we can provide. That way, once they see the results, we can change anything that they need faster. Take into consideration the timing. As a startup, we can make decisions very fast and start working on what is needed as soon as possible. But we need to remember that it is not the same when you are working with a corporation. You need to take into consideration that they will involve different departments within their organization in every new step of the project. To give you an example, when a specific department is working with a startup, they will need to include the legal department and also to have the approval of the financial department. Something that can help with this is that you have a list of the material and documents the corporate will need from you and to provide it as soon as possible. So while you're having the negotiations of the project, the finance and legal department can be working behind the scenes on the approval of that project. Another important advice is to always have a final meeting to show the results and to receive feedback from your client to know what went wrong and how to change it. Also, remember that it is always important to define the next step for future projects so you can keep the relationship with your client. And finally, make sure you have a client success specialist to provide an onboarding session to your client at the beginning of the project. Something that is very common is that clients are not satisfied with the final result of our project, and it is not because the project was not handled properly, but because they never understood how the platform worked and how to benefit from it. It is very important that at the moment your client has a doubt or a question, they know who to reach out to. If you don't have a client success manager within your team, it might be the time to add this person on board, since the benefits of having someone taking care of the success of the project will be the main reason the client would like to sign the new project in the future. Even though it could be a complex process at the beginning, remember that working or the relationship with a startup and a corporate has more benefit than disadvantages. Always remember that the communication is the key and never underestimate the time and the workload you have. Be ready to pivot to reach the goal, but also remember to say no when it's needed. And that will be all for today. I hope you find this session very helpful. And if you have any questions or want to share some advice for corporates and startups to work together, I will be happy to read them in the chat. Remember to follow us to keep track on our future webinars and events. Thank you. Have a great day.